Hey gang, welcome back to another video here at Joe Daddy's Workshop. You know, from the very beginning I said that I was going to be doing a variety of videos. I've done reviews on my lawnmower, I've done reviews on weed eaters, worked on the door threshold, door handle, go-kart, all kinds of different things, and I want to continue to do that. Now, one of the projects that I did recently was I added Ethernet out here in the shop. The reason for that is I do live streams for my Joe Daddy's Garage channel, and there were some problems with the sound or maybe the picture quality, and everybody was suggesting getting Ethernet out here in the shop. In order to do that, I had to run a line from inside the house up through the attic, outside the house, underground, and get it here in the shop. And I've done that. But this isn't about making that happen. This isn't about, you know, running the line underground. That's not that complicated. You just have to be willing to put in the sweat and labor hours. But what I did is I ran two lines from the house out here so that I have one primary and one as a spare just in case something happens to that primary line. Now, in order to do this, what I did is I bought 500 feet of Cat 5e Ethernet cable, and I also bought this kit, and this is from UB Gear, and I'll go over this in just a minute. But this little kit has come in very handy because I had to make all my cables, and so I want to show you how to make these little ends. You know, it comes with the connector, and of course you have to cut it and, you know, set everything up. So I'm going to go over that real quick just to give you an idea of how this kit works, and maybe you'll be interested in one of these, I don't know, but at least you'll have some information. Let's take a look. Okay, so the cable, that's just standard indoor-outdoor cable. This one says sun resistant, and again, I bought this off of Amazon. Yeah, I'll post a link to that box if you're interested, but just basic cable, so nothing particularly special about it. And I'm going to set this aside because we don't need it. But I want to show you this little kit. When you open this up, and of course I've had this open already, but this is what comes in the kit, is this UB Gear pair of pliers, and it has multi-functions. You can use different ends in the end here, but I'm only worried about the one in the middle, which is for the Cat 5. And it also has a cutter built in down here, and there's a secondary cutter, but I think that cutter is meant to be used like if you wanted to strip your wire, you could feed that in and twist it around or twist this around, and it would cut the end or cut a section of the casing so that you could remove it. I don't use that because it also came with this little tool, and you can see here it has different sizes in this little piece sticking out for different wires, and there's a razor in there, so I can use that a lot simpler than I can use the primary tool. And then it also has this little end here. I'm not exactly sure what you use that for. I haven't found much use for that, but I'm sure there's a reason that they put that on there. Along with that, the kit comes with a bunch of ends, and this has been really handy. It also comes with this tester kit. And what's neat about this is you can assemble your wire, and you take these apart. You hook one end to, or you hook this to one end of the wire, hook this to the other, turn it on, and it'll go through a sequence here and energize each individual wire, and then you'll get a return signal on this one. So it lets you know if you've done everything correctly. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to try to show you how this works. I'm going to take this end, and I'm just going to come back maybe 1.5 inches, somewhere in that range, and just kind of rotate this on, make a loop, and the end comes off. Now you've got your individual strands, well, I say individual, twisted pairs they should be called. You've got a blue and white, you've got a, blue with a blue and white, brown with a brown and white, orange with an orange and white, and green with a green and white. You also see there's this little cord built in, and from my understanding that is meant to allow you to pull and open up the casing further if you want, but you're not going to need that. So I just take a little pair of cutters and get rid of that piece. Alright, now this is where it gets interesting, because there's a sequence to these. Just like I've said it before, you know, in military terms, sequence is scored. Well, it is on these as well. So what you have to do is untwist these wire pairs. So you're going to start with the orange and the orange and white. And there's actually a sequence to this. I'll go over that in just a second. But we're going to separate all these pairs and straighten them out. Now this is where you have to pay attention to how these are laced or interlaced together, let's say, so that you don't get wires crossed. Once these are all straightened out, I can tell you real simply that the brown and white and the brown, they're going to stay right next to each other in that order. Okay? The orange and white and the orange, they are going to stay right next to each other. And that's a sequence. Orange and white, orange. Now, at this point, you're going to do some separation because it's going to be green and white, and then blue, and this is where your wires end up getting kind of twisted up at the base. So let me see if I can get that green one out of there. Yeah. Alright, so green and white, blue, blue and white, and then green. And again, we want these as straight as we can get them. That's why I keep pulling on them. And then brown and white and brown. And I believe on the box itself, so on the back of the box, here's a picture of the wire connector I'm making, this T568B. And if you can look right there, you'll see there's the sequence again. Orange and white, orange, green and white, blue, blue and white, green, brown and white, brown. Hopefully I have that in frame and you can see that okay. But that's what I'm building. These other ones, this is for a crossover cable. I'm not doing that. And then this one is for a 568A. And I'm not doing that. I'm doing this one in the middle. Okay. So again, orange and white, orange, green and white, blue, blue and white, green, brown and white, and brown. And you want to get all these as straight as you can. Keep them in line. And then we're going to cut these down because this is way too long to use with the connector. So here's a little thing. When you're doing this, the connector, the little tab, that's going to face away from you. So the locking latch assembly, whatever you want to call it, is going to be facing away. So the orange and white will be all the way on the left as you look at it. I hope that makes sense. Try not to be too confusing. But know that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to place these two together so that you can get an idea of how much length you want to cut off. And as you can see, there's a good bit that can be removed because this also has a little locking device built in. So whenever you compress it, it grabs onto this cable. All right. So that's how that's going to work. We're going to kind of get a ballpark area, and I'll bring my thumb up and kind of match the length for the top of this. So that's where I'm going to cut. And again, I want to make sure my sequence is right, because once you get everything cut, you're just going to insert and squeeze it in the tool. So now I'm going to take my cutters and just cut straight across. And you want that as straight as you can possibly get it. I think that's pretty close. Double check. Make sure all those are correct. And now I'm going to take this again, that's facing away, and just slide it on. And basically the wires are kind of self-aligning. Once you get them in, you can wiggle it just a little bit, and they just glide or slide right into each individual opening. So I'll look at that again, make sure they're all lined up correctly, and then I'm going to use a tool. So I have to insert that into the tool, make sure it's pressed all the way in, and then squeeze, and it does all the work. And you've just made a connector. Now, here's what I want to show you with this tester deal. Have the two ends. Set this stuff aside. I'm going to take one end and plug into that end of the tester tool, and then the other one, it can do different ones. So this is, you got to make sure this will do RJ11 and RJ45. Again, I'm not overly familiar with these terms. I'm just showing you what I know. So I'm going to plug this in and then turn this on. And that shows you that you have a good circuit all the way through. Now the G up on top is not part of this circuit. It's not testing that. It's only testing your 8 connectors. So that's why that little red light is at the top there. That's pretty cool. Alright, this at least proves that I have the wires in the same ends and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Again, I'm not a professional with this. I'm just letting you know that you can do it. This kit worked out fine for what I'm doing. I was able to get the Ethernet cable from Amazon, the tools, and with a little practice was able to figure this out. I know there's variations on here. I don't know what that means, or why they have different numbers, or why the wiring is different. I don't have an answer for that. All I can tell you is what I've done works, and I'm happy with that. So hopefully you found some useful information in this video. If you'd be so kind, throw a thumbs up on there, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and help this channel grow, and I'll continue making oddball videos, I guess, whatever may suit me. And if I have some suggestions from viewers like you, maybe I'll do something with that as well. That's going to be the end of this video. Again, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya. Use the tool. So I have to insert that into the tool. Whoops. There are variations here. I don't know why I don't know what they're for or how they operate. Again, I'm not considering myself a professional Ethernet whatever. I'm not familiar with any of that. So I'm just letting you know about this kit and about how it works. So anyway. I don't have that answer. Hopefully you learned something from this video.